I will first thank everyone who has found time to be with us today to participate in this webinar. I acknowledge also the participation of my professor supervisor of my PhD work, Professor M.O. Akoroda. I remember when I was doing my PhD in Nigeria, he was trying to work on sweet potato to produce what he was calling sparry. I'm very happy to talk today, especially for Nigeria and also on behalf of SIP. SIP, as you know, is a CIGA Research for Development Center.
Sorry, you can start your own video, please. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on, Paul.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope you were hearing me.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, SIP is a CIGA Research Center with mandate focus on potato, sweet potato, and Andean root and tuber crops. What I'm going to present here is mainly to let you know what the research program and the goals of SIP are. Vivian, can you move to the next slide? SIP is focusing on three key research programs with a vision of a healthy, inclusive, and resilient world through root and tuber systems. We are using the word system here because we do not work in isolation. In every ecosystem where we work, we want to be part of the diet in that community. The mission is to deliver innovative science-based solutions to enhance access to affordable, nutritious food, foster inclusive, sustainable business and employment growth, and drive the climate resilience of root and tuber agri-food system. We are using here the word agri-food system. This is to emphasize the need not only to look at one crop, but to be looking at the food system in a given agroecology. We have three key programs: the potato agri-food system, the biodiversity, and the sweet potato agri-food system, which is the focus of today. All these three programs have products, objectives that are contributing to achieve SIP's goal. And those goals are mainly to improve food and nutrition security, to increase livelihood opportunities, and wide-scale development of inclusive value chains. The word value chain here calls for actors along the value chain to be able to work together, because a research organization cannot deliver those goals without partnering with partners within the country. We have a third goal, which is a sustainable intensification of agri-food system through climate resilient and biodiverse agriculture. SIP has achieved a lot, especially in terms of the use of improved varieties and improved planting material, quality planting material to improve productivity. We have reached over 1 million households with increased productivity with potato, and over 5 million households with nutritional status of more than 5 million improved in Africa. You also see that we are present in East Africa, in Southern Africa, and in West Africa. Nigeria is one of our key focus countries moving forward. We plan to intensify and link up with key stakeholders within Nigeria to be able to deliver what we can to the best of our ability with partners, because as you can note, just one small root of sweet potato, in this case, orange flesh sweet potato, is enough to meet the daily vitamin A needs of a young child. I think this is something that everybody should know and let other people know, because sweet potato is a precious crop that is not well known by many people. Secondly, there is a very big role that sweet potato and orange flesh sweet potato can and should play in improving livelihoods, food and nutrition security in Africa and in Nigeria in particular. And this can only be done through partnership with stakeholders along the value chain. I emphasize on partnership because research cannot deliver impact without linking up with the multiple key partners that are needed. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Paul, and you kept your time. That's excellent. So please feel free to text your comments and your questions on the chat. Make use of the chat room, please. So our next speaker is Dr. Adegoke. Adegoke is the Assistant Chief Agriculture Officer and Desk Officer for the Potato Value Chain at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, FMAD. So Dr. Adegoke, please can you take the next few minutes to share with us what FMAD's viewpoint on this crop and the kind of initiatives that are ongoing currently to support the scaling up of OFSP in Nigeria. Welcome.
Dr. Adegoke, please.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful, and I also want to thank everyone that is participating here on this webinar today. Yeah. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you,
We
sir.
can hear
Please go
you,
ahead.
please. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm also here to share what the ministry has been doing in respect to orange flesh sweet potato. The ministry started working on orange flesh sweet potato in year 2012 when we enter into a partnership agreement with International Potato Center to implement rainbow projects. These rainbow projects happens to be an eye-opener for us in Nigeria because we are able to inform people in all the 6 states and the FCT that we work together about the importance of this crop and what the crops can do, most especially in respect of health and also in the creation of wealth. We have discovered that this OFSP is a very unique crop because everything about it is very good in terms of nutritional benefit, in terms of income generation, in terms of employment creation. And as we all know that the ministry, one of the ministry cardinal objectives is to create wealth, is to also empower our farmers to be able to improve their livelihood. So the minister then, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, took the project and he quickly accepted in implementing it. It was fully funded by the Ministry of Agriculture. It's also ran for almost 4 years. It ended in the year 2016. And since then, the story has never been the same because there are a lot of people that are working on orange flesh sweet potato now. And to date, we are moving ahead and we are still forging ahead to make sure that we take this OFSP to the next level. Part of what we have been able to do in the ministry as regards the OFSP to make sure that we popularize it among our populace. There are so many, some key activities that were quickly put in place. We have already established a structure in Bayero University we constructed a screen house with a borehole, with a fully functional water to make sure that we have good, clean, virus-free planting materials for all our farmers in Kano State and its environment. It has been so. It has always been so useful to people around that side, and we also procure some equipment like the puree making machine, which was fabricated locally, and this is just to assist our processors also to make
Dr. Adegoke, we can't hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay, good. Yes, yeah. So we have done that. We also support some of our farmers. About 500 farmers were trained in 5 states just to build their capacity, just to expose them to how to utilize orange-flesh sweet potato. We worked in these 5 states, and we are also able to give them clean finds for planting, and most of them are already engaged in the production of OFSP. We have also moved it to the level of having other activities that we are planning to bring on board because we discovered that one of the challenges, the major challenge the farmers are having is in the areas of this planting material, especially for Mother's Delight. The planting material is not always available during the dry season. So we have also established a state-of-the-art tissue culture laboratory at the Enasera substation in Plateau State, where we intend to be using the laboratory to produce clean vines of OFSP and other potato planting materials. And we're also going to establish about 20 hectares of irrigation facilities to make sure that we support dry system farming and dry system production of OFSP planting material. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, next slide. Yeah. So yes, it's okay. So we are going to construct more greenhouses at 4 locations in Nigeria. We are also going to support demand creation and product development of OFSP in some federal universities and colleges of agriculture and secondary school in 6 political state zones. I mean, about 20,000 youths are going to be reached with OFSP messages nationwide. We're also going to promote or procure and some customized promotion materials, which we are going to use to create awareness for the people. We have also discovered that people need information. So we are going to come up with about 1,000 copies of manuals, which have information about planting and processing of OFSP. All the recipes are there. I think Catholic Relief Services, and in partnership with the ministry and some other development partner, there's a particular booklet they have come up with, which the ministry is going to quickly mass produce for our people. Also, we are going to be engaging or empowering about 50 youth and women. We are going to give them starter packs. We are going to support them and train them to be able to be well engaged in OFSP promotion. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. We are also going to intensify our engagement with school feeding program, because we know that if there is no off-taker, there will be a very serious challenge for our farmers to continue production. So we are going to link up with school feeding program to make sure that most of the roots that is being produced will be well utilized by them. We are also going to work with IDP camps and correctional homes to make sure that we introduce OFSP to them so that they can also gain from the importance, the vitamin A rich crop that we are promoting. We will also be engaging about 1,000 farmers and processors, which we are going to train them on good agricultural practices, farmers business schools, cooperative business schools, and climate smart agriculture. We will continue to also support more production of planting materials. And that is why we are also going to support NRCRI and the Center for Dryland Agriculture in Bayero University to produce clean vines of Mother's Delight, King J, and Solo Gold, which are the three major varieties that has been already released in Nigeria. About 333,000 bundles of vines are expected to be produced this year and distributed to about 1,000 farmers, so that at least each farmers will be well monitored. We are going to follow them up, and we expected each one of them to establish about 1 hectare of OFSP within the country. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, we have worked extensively with International Potato Center since inception, 2012, I mean. We have conducted a program called Reaching Agent of Change. We have done Rainbow Project, Jumpstarting OFSP Initiatives, Shasha Project, NFB Project, working to improve nutrition in Northern Nigeria Project, and also the current one that is ongoing, which is being funded by World Bank, which is Nutrition and Fortified Crop Project. That one is ongoing as a project that is running for 5 years in Nigeria. These are the things that we have been, how the ministry has been engaging our partners. But I also want to use this opportunity to call on other development partners, most especially African Development Bank, to support the promotion of OFSP, because we know after this COVID, there will be a kind of a breakdown in vitamin A intake among the populace. So we need effort. We need a concerted effort, support from all international partners and all donors to come and support us so that we can reach as many Nigerians as possible. Also, we are going to be collaborating with Farmers Group and Farmers Association to build their capacity, because that one is another challenge. We noticed that many of them are not being well trained, and we need to quickly see what we can do to make sure that that one is, the problem is solved. Also, most of the projects and innovations that are being brought to Nigeria by development partners, we will see how we can also mainstream them into potatoes programs of the ministry for continuity and sustainability. We are going to intensify our awareness creation in all the 36 states and FCT. We'll also be supporting and advocating for inclusion of OFSP in school children's diet, camps, and in vulnerable groups and correct, and also create enabling environment with infusion of OFSP or your needs, most especially those that are OFSP in the production of biscuits, cake, and other things. So we are going to work with them to engage them to see the possibility of using OFSP as raw material, because this one will create market. It will enable our farmers to sell their OFSP. The next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So we will be glad to work with International Potato Center in this development and delivery of bio-fortified crops in Nigeria. This is the new project that we believe you are about to be promoting. We will work with you. We fully support it and will participate. The ministry is going to participate actively in its implementation. Thank you, and God bless you for listening. Stay safe. Thanks. Yes.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Adegoke. Quite interesting and very exciting to see the amount of commitment and initiatives that are going on through the FMAD. I see quite a lot of comments and questions coming up. We'll be able to answer those at the end of the presentation. Our next speaker is Dr. Edward Waogu. He's the Assistant Director and National Coordinator, Sweet Potato Research Program. at the National Root Crops Research Institute, Omodike, Nigeria. So Dr. Waugu, would you like to speak to the audience about the different varieties and the ongoing work on the breeding and of varieties, which ones are available, and just generally talk about the contribution of NACRI to the scaling up of OFSP in Nigeria? Welcome. Dr. Waugu,
Dr.
are you
Edward,
there?
you can increase your this one mic, and also I have unmuted you. You can also put on your video as well. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Let me once again thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about our activities here in the Institute with respect to one of our mandate crops, the National Root Crop Research Institute is handling. That's the sweet potato with special emphasis on orange-fleshed sweet potato. We feel excited when avenues are created for us to share what we're doing with people, because we believe that this is an opportunity for us to popularize what we are doing and sell what we have developed to the public. The National Root Crop Research Institute has it as a mandate to carry out farmer-driven research to develop and improve the utilization, production, marketing, storage of all root and tuber crops of economic importance in Nigeria. There is no other organization that has this mandate except NCRI, Omodike. And if you look at the crops under our mandate, there are so many of them: cassava, yam, sweet potato, ginger, risga, turmeric, and so on. It's not an easy assignment for an institute. But I can tell you that out of the various mandate crops we have, sweet potato is so dear to us, because from a dietary point of view and nutritional perspective, sweet potato plays an important role, not only as a life-saving disaster crop, but also it has a very high level of nutrition that improves.
Don't be sick.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Please go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. So,
Hear you, please.
okay. The status of sweet potato in Nigeria is such that Nigeria today, as we are talking, is the third largest global producer of sweet potato. In fact, it is ranking next to China and Indonesia with about 4.0 metric tons in 2018 and a yield of 2.48 tons per hectare in that same year. The story of sweet potato is pathetic that despite the fact that it does a whole lot of, it plays a lot of role in the dietary disposition of people in Nigeria, it is oftentimes neglected and regarded as a poor man's crop. I thank God that SIP has taken up the challenge of collaborating with us to improve and advance the cause of this crop that is very, very important in Nigeria. I will concentrate on giving you a brief of what we have done to promote sweet potato with special emphasis on orange-fleshed sweet potato. NRCRI, in collaboration with other development partners like SIP, have been able to develop about and released 3 sweet potato varieties: Umuspo 1, Umuspo 2, and Solo Gold. And this took place between 2015 and 2012 to 2017. The Institute has also developed a standard agronomic practice for OFSP production. Prior to commencement of research, there wasn't a standardized way of producing crops in Nigeria, especially with special emphasis on sweet potato. But today, we have been able to come up with standard agronomic practice aimed at improving the production of OFSP. In this package, we recommend use of quality seed material and we see it as a very critical input. And the use of 4-node cottons and the complementary application of organic manure and inorganic NPK fertilization is also important. We have also been able to find out that 33,333 plant population gives a better response in all agroecologies in Nigeria. And we also recommend in that package early removal of diseased plants so as to avoid contact with the healthy ones in the field. Now, these varieties we have released have different food quality traits, which are important to certain group of people. And we want to use this opportunity to make people know that the various sweet potato varieties we have developed are all high yielding compared to the white flesh that used to be utilized and produced by farmers in most parts of the country before now. Humus per one, for instance, has a very high yielding index and is also resistant to pests and diseases, broadly adopted to all agroecologies in Nigeria. And it has also very high dry matter that is greater than 30%. This variety is suitable and is adaptable to most ecologies in Nigeria. And since after it has been introduced, we found out that a lot of people in Nigeria are so much using it in the preparation of certain sweet potato-based food products. It is suitable for roadside fries, grapes production, golden kunu that is used mostly in the north, and it is also good for production of sweet potato noodles. The second variety we introduced is humus potre, which is popularly known as Mother's Delight. That one also has high carotenoid content, and it is also high yielding. But the dry matter content of it is relatively low. It has good big root sizes, and is suitable for production of golden kamba, golden kunu, and has been found to be a very good alternative to carrot in the preparation of desserts. The last one we released in 2017 was Solo Gold. Solo Gold was released because of its high dry matter content relative to Mother's Delight. The yield is moderate, not so high compared to Kinje or humus per one and humus per three. But it has been also been found to be adaptable to most ecologies in Nigeria. And it's good for the production of roadside fries, ribs, golden kunu, and it also has good root shapes. Next slide. So, the Institute, because sweet potato is not only about orange flesh, we have also gone ahead to register and develop some other varieties that have been also released in Nigeria. Humus per two, which is white fleshed, and that one has dry matter because a lot of people prefer to use the one with high dry matter content than the one with low, because in production of certain food forms, like the fries, the crisps and chips, most people prefer the white one. So we have released that one. We also have some other varieties that have been registered through the assistance of NCROI. In general, having released these varieties, we are working in partnership with other members of the society, particularly major stakeholders. We have been able to find out that over the years, since after the introduction of the orange flesh sweet potato, the adoption rate appears to be a little bit low, measuring about 35%. It is low relative to the level of advocacy that the Institute with other developmental partners have given to the crop in Nigeria. But that notwithstanding, OFSP has been adopted by most farmers in the farming system of Nigeria, and some state governments now have introduced it into the school feeding program as a food-based approach to combat vitamin A deficiency among children and lactating mothers. Most states in Nigeria, you see many of the OFSP snack shops springing up here and there, indicating that people are gradually adopting it. But we expect a rate of adoption among our farmers. Farmers are showing increasing interest in its utilization, but the level of adoption appears low. We went further to ascertain the reasons why quite a good number of people we feel that should have been producing it by now are a bit reluctant, because the kind of research we do here in NRCRI is farmer-driven. We found out that their major complaint is that the dry matter content of some of the orange flesh sweet potato, particularly Mother's Delight, is low. And we know that different people have different consumer preferences in terms of taste, texture, when boiled or fried, and
thank you, Dr. Edward. I hope you're about to wind up, please. Given the time.
Yes. So we have now come up with future plan on how to refocus this crop so that we will now reposition it in a way that people will adopt it as we want. We are now thinking of striking a balance between OFSP carotenoid content and the organic matter, because there appears to be an inverse relationship between the two. So our future research now is targeting production of local, maximizing the gains of OFSPs through the production of local utilization and export, and then developing varieties that have very nice shape that will meet the test of numerous end users in Nigeria. Specifically, we intend to develop and release sweet potato varieties with multiple desirable traits of high yield, high dry matter content, high beta carotene, and resistant to various diseases. We also intend to carry out stakeholders training on quality sweet potato seed production as a means of improved farmer livelihood and revenue generation. We thank SIP for giving us the opportunity to contribute in this webinar, and we feel we are looking forward to working with you collaboratively in reposition OFSP in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing with us the existing varieties as well as the challenges that exist for adoption, and also talking about where you are heading to, or how the future looks like in terms of releasing varieties, new varieties in Nigeria. So let's now move over to hear about the commercial, the entrepreneurship opportunities that exist for this crop. And we are going to hear from Professor Latif Sani, who is the president of the International Society for Tropical Root Crops, ISTRC, and is also the chairman of African Women in the Agricultural Research and Development Award, and professor of food science and technology at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. So, Professor Latif, please take a few minutes and reflect around the post-harvest management issues as well as the entrepreneurship opportunities that OFSP presents for Nigeria. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Yes, please.
All right. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. We're going to talk briefly on opportunities from post-harvest angle and entrepreneurial opportunities for youth, women, and everybody that is interested to make money from orange flesh sweet potato. Next slide, please. I'm starting from the market structure. Number one, you are aware that after harvest, orange flesh sweet potato is highly perishable, and it has implication for the smallholder growers at the district or community level. And that's why there is an opportunity for all of us to add value, to improve the perishability and shorten the post-harvest losses. So we have both the national, regional, and international markets that is willing and ready to actually absorb products from orange flesh sweet potato. The COVID-19 is a good opportunity in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years for most people in developing countries and other people in the Pacific region that may not be able to have enough money to actually buy drugs. So people will want to fall back to crops like orange flesh sweet potato, just like we have for yellow cassava. Next slide. I've looked at the product and I say that you can actually generate income and job. And already now, let's look at the vegetable aspect of it. It's a very good, delicious vegetables. And when you also look at the crop itself, and you make it into swallows at the staple household level, meaning that you are talking of covering nothing less than 20 million households in Nigeria. We actually promote orange flesh sweet potato. States like Kogi State, for instance, have already domesticated some of these crops as I'm talking to you. Apart from that, the bakery, the confectionery products, donuts, bread, and chin-chin is another area where we can actually generate more money with the fast food industries in Nigeria. Next slide. Now, at present, we boil it and we also fry. If people add value to it, you will get more money. If you also dry it and make the leaves, you also have leaves for export. Next slide. And in my university, Dr. Olatunde Fechuga has been working in terms of product development with Jalo, and that's why I'm letting you see some of the products they have. Next slide. Next slide, yeah. This area is very important because in Ghana, in Nigeria, and some other countries, because of the innovations of puri that has been developed by seed, we now have opportunity of replacing nothing less than 40% of our wheat for bread making. Nothing less than 40% of our wheat for bread making. It means that you are going to save a lot of billions of dollars if we really promote. We have spent quite a lot of years, 15 years promoting high quality cassava flour for bread. We move to NRI, we move to Vietnam and Thailand also. But I'm saying that, are we not sure that orange flesh sweet potato may be a game changer for the inclusion bread policy in Nigeria and other countries? Let us all think about this and work together to achieve it. Next slide. 2, some states have demonstrated that they can use orange flesh sweet potato for school feeding programs. And this is a very good opportunity for us in Osun State, where you now have, they've demonstrated that they can use it. And my point now is that, can we scale beyond Osun and Kwara State? We have good success story in Kwara State, we have in Osun State, and we scale beyond that. Can we go to all the 34, 35 states in Nigeria? It's a good opportunity for us. Last one. So I think I want to thank you very much for this opportunity. No more slide.
I will invite Dr. Augustine Okurua and to speak about the nutrition angle and the potential for OFSP to contribute to the nutrition security in Nigeria. Dr. Okurua is the head of Eat Safe Country program at the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition Gain. So please take the floor.
Can you see that now?
Yes, we can now, Hammond.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we can now.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to save time, these are the activities at GAIN and SBN. Next slide. So the key aspect I want to point out from here is that the beta carotene from OFSP is a good source of availability when you talk of it actually being used by the person that consumes it. So even after boiling it, you have up to 70 to 95% retention in the body. And hello, can you?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
So there is evidence globally that OFSP can be conveniently used as a food-based intervention for combating vitamin A deficiency in several African countries, Mozambique, Rwanda, Kenya, and some Asian countries. So what we are looking at now is what are really the possibilities that we expect in Nigeria. Over to Ivy.
Yeah, thank you, Doc, and good day, everyone. So because time is not on our side, I will just say that in terms of the possibilities, in order for us to even achieve any of that, we have to work together and not work in silos to create shared value. And the former speaker, Sani Latif, has already touched on a couple of the points. But as you can see on the slides that are shown, there is potential for it, like everyone has said, to be used in the homegrown school feeding program in Nigeria, to be taken up by households for diversified diets, to use while eating alone or in combination with other foods. Next slide, please. So I'll just speak to that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can see that now. So also, we can use it as a substitute for wheat flour, like someone also mentioned, in like they use high quality cassava flour for. And there's an opportunity as well for cold chain system development for fresh potato puree use or the preserved puree. And then most importantly, which is my last point, even as we have seen that the economy is going to have a huge hit, there's an opportunity to integrate OFSP in workplace nutrition programs. So as offices, as people will be looking for more cost-effective ways to feed their staff nutritious foods, this is the right time for us to integrate OFSP into that as well. Over to you, Doc, for the conclusion.
So in conclusion, I want to also say that one of the aspects that time did not allow us was the focus on HORECA, hotels, restaurants, and catering agencies. They are a veritable tool for promoting the nutritional impact of OFSP. And like I previously said, in the last 20 years, considerable research undertaken in many African countries such as Mozambique, Uganda, Rwanda, and some part to some extent Nigeria have actually provided evidence. And that means that we have a genuine reason to promote OFSP as a food-based instrument for combating vitamin A deficiency in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Okurua and Ivy. Ivy is the acting national coordinator at the Scaling Up Nutrition Business Network, SBN Nigeria. We really appreciate that angle in terms of the contribution to nutrition from OFSP. So very quickly, we are going to hear from Ms. Stephanie Opere, who is the project manager at the eHealth Africa. Really tell us the success stories of OFSP in Nigeria. Then we can go to the question and answer section, given the time, please. Stephanie, over to you.
She's one of our beneficiaries, women beneficiaries on the project. Prior to the project, Hajira knew nothing about existence, but here's what like, and then we'll talk a bit about where Hajira is right now. On our activities around engagement, community engagement, setup of centralized multiplication sites, setup of GDMs, and then we conducted both field trainings and step-down trainings for extension agents, women farmers, men farmers, developed some recipes and some cooking demonstrations. Next slide, please.
This is not a...
Yeah, I will run through the slides. So Joyce, then you can take over once the slides finishes.
Yeah.
Stephanie is speaking from Kano, and there must be some problem in the connectivity. So yeah, Joyce, you can go ahead.
So thank you very much. I think Stephanie was meant to highlight a success story on a project on OFSP and how this has impacted into communities and their livelihoods and changed in terms of food security and nutrition. But towards the end, she was also meant to highlight some of the challenges that they have been facing in terms of scaling up. So apologies that the technology didn't work, but I think we got the gist of her message. So let's just go through the chat and see what kind of questions that are coming up, and
I think I have a slide. I have a slide.
I'll give you the time, Jude. Let's just take some questions and then see what happens. Then you'll also come in, if you don't mind, please. So I have a question for Nakri about the tissue culture lab.
NRCRI, please. It's NRCRI.
NRCRI.
Yeah.
There's somebody who wants to know how the tissue culture lab is being managed and how you're going on in terms of making sure there is availability of early generation starter material. Would you like to come in on that, please?
Sure. Thank you very much. Yeah. The NRCRI has a very functional tissue lab in place. We also have greenhouses in place where we manage disease problems of OFSP and indeed other crops of the institute that are of interest to the institute. The greenhouse we established is functioning optimally, where we produce basic seeds and send them out to farmers so that we ensure that what farmers use in their planting is quality seed. Because our experience over the years is that farmers rely on recycled seed vines to actually, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Farmers rely on sharing of vines from previous year's production, and this has led to disease buildup and incidentally lowering their yield. So one of the activities we are performing here is ensuring that we produce quality seed in our greenhouses and distribute them to farmers on request. So we have the capacity to produce a very large number of seed vines on request, and we've been doing it very effectively, giving it to different farmer groups that come and place order. So in our greenhouse, we have most of the varieties we are talking about, not even only OFSP, including other varieties that are of interest. Thank you.
Yes, another question before I move to the next speaker is about the power supply at your tissue culture lab. Apparently, one of the listeners says it's been a challenge and a big constraint in terms of making sure we have constant power supply, and that might impact on the quality of early generation seed that you're producing.
Yeah, power problem is a universal problem in Nigeria. It's not only peculiar to NCRI, but I am happy to announce that with the coming on board of the present management, the tissue culture, the tissue lab was renovated and re-equipped with functional gensets that are working 24/7, so that our work will go unhindered. So that is not a problem for now. We have functional electricity supply. When NEPA goes off, we use the genset that has been renovated and put in place.
Okay, thank you. A question for FMAD, Dr. Adegoke. What is FMAD doing to ensure that sweet potato quality control protocol becomes operational? Dr. Adegoke, are you there?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
So I have seen that there are two questions on the chat that I would like to quickly respond to. One of them is that seed quality control. I think the International Potato, through Shasha initiative, brought up the standard seed control protocols. We have had some technical discussion on it, and I think the draft has also been worked on. The ministry have that intention of making sure that standard seed quality control protocol is fully operational. I think I will engage with Dr. Jude to make sure that we finalize an arrangement on how to complete it. When we finish, I will see how we can discuss inviting to the ministry to meet with our director, the new director, Ms. Ajia Karima Babangida, so that we can discuss at length to see how we can conclude that aspect. The second question I'll be responding to is a question raised by Mr. Khalid Isiak. He's talking about the tissue culture that is being built in Jos. I think where the individual will not be certifying the seed. Everything that is going to be done there is going to be on a concessional approach with a private investor. I don't know whether it's Dr. Khalid from Seed Council, but if he's the one, you should know that we have already initiated a discussion with a private company to run that tissue culture laboratory. So it's going to be concession. Seed Council is going to be fully involved. NSRA is going to be fully involved to make sure that they regulate and also carry out all necessary protocols that are needed before seed or vines can be released from the tissue culture laboratory. Another person raised a question on that screen house that we built in Kano. That one also, I think the person was saying that it is not being properly managed. We have already built it. It has been handed over to Bayero University. We believe that whoever they are putting there to manage that facility should be somebody that is knowledgeable about it. So we've done that, but we are still going to carry out some periodic monitoring to see what are needed to be done in that aspect. So those are my response.
Thank you very much. I want to move on to NAS. I would think we had the DG of NA and the National Agency for Seed Certification online at some point. I hope he can hear, because there is a lot of comments relating to the update on the status of implementation of sweet potato seed standards in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Maybe you can try and update us on that, please.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Dr. Ojo, we can hear you, please.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, I want to thank Khalid for the question he posed to a colleague from the ministry. Actually, the question I have here for him, even before Khalid came on board, was to find out from him the kind of collaboration FMA has with the council, because NASC is an agency of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. This program that they are handling is a very, very important program that has a lot of nutritional and food security. And we all know the importance of seed in all this. From what Khalid is asking, you can see that the collaboration is kind of loose. So my advice to Adegoke is that there is the need to move very, very close with the council, because even the facilities you are talking about has to be accredited by the council, because we want to be sure that the quality of seed that is going to go to our farmers is actually top. So it's actually very important for us to actually move and work closely together. I remember sometimes ago, Dr. Njoku came on the issue of the protocol that, the quality control protocol that we're actually talking about. So there is the need to put all these things together so that all these programs will work very, very seamlessly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Olusegun. You know, the Seed Council is an agency under the ministry, and there's nothing we are doing in the ministry that has to do with seeds that the Seed Council will not be carried along. on this tissue culture we are talking about, it has been completed. We have not started any operation there yet because the concession agreement has not been finalized. It is still with the division, the legal department in the ministry, and we've started discussion. I think if Dr. Khalid is online, I think he has attended 1 or 2 meetings on our discussion with the investor that shows interest in managing it. So whatever you think is necessary for the ministry or for your council to put up for these investors to follow up, I think you should develop that. We are still going to call meeting when the legal department finalized all the agreement. We are still going to call for a meeting where all these issues are going to be harmonized. We are not going to work in isolation of Seed Council and NRCRI because we believe they are the major partners in this seed production, and we don't want something that will cause each when the tissue culture fully take off. So we are going to work together as soon as we get a green line from the legal department.
That's a great point from both of you. And maybe what we will do is as soon as the lockdown ends, SIP probably will arrange a meeting even before the formal meetings and agreements do happen. We will have a platform where we can come together and discuss some of the issues. So as soon as the lockdown opens up, we can meet up face to face.
Okay. That'll be fine.
So we just need to really wrap up. I will only just maybe take 2 more questions, and maybe perhaps this Hemant, you might want to come in on this in terms of some of the myths around the OFSP. A lot of comments around the low dry matter content and other myths around, and what you're doing to demystify those myths and make sure that there's good uptake and people are happy to consume for the nutritional benefits.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm seeing some questions on what opportunities are there for youth. How can we use sweet potato in different value chains? As some of the presentations said, there are different varieties that have been released, and each of those varieties are suited for a particular value chain. For example, Mother's Delight is having a good taste and it's good for young kids. So it can go into an entrepreneurial opportunity where people can develop products for small kids. Because it has high water content. But the adults, they prefer something which can be fried, which has higher dry matter content, and it can be better roasted or fried. So there are other varieties suited for that. So I'll mention that there are different varieties for different needs. We need to take home that message. And I see Malaki Akoreda has a lot of information, and he's a champion in this space. So I'll invite him for a 30 seconds contribution here, sir. Professor Akoreda?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, just to say that I am happy with what I'm hearing, but I would like to know the commercial portions of how planting material reach farmers at cost. And we have at Ibadan here converted into juice, solid flours, and we have a lot of demand, but the people who we produce for buyers is very short. That's number one. Number two, the periodicity, month by month, week by week of suppliers is very low. So if it is tied to only one major period of harvest, it can't go far. We need to get weekly planting, weekly harvest. So those are 2 major points that will affect adoption and wide use at the market. If you come to Bodija Market, Ibadan, very big market, you will not see orange flesh there. I have somebody who is producing orange flesh exclusively. We got vines from Iresi, NROCIR, from Iresi station. and we have produced so much last season. This season we are starting. So please, 2 points: commercial seed supply, and also where do we get contact for those information that have been produced. I did send a message that all these presentations should reach us also, because 1 hour is not enough to talk about sweet potato. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And for sure, 1 hour is not enough to discuss this topic on sweet potato. But nevertheless, it's a good starting point. I think it's been very stimulating. And thank you so much for all the comments and the questions. We are going to look at them later, and that will really help us in terms of moving forward and trying to scale up and promote the adoption of this vitamin A powerhouse, this crop that has a lot of potential to address vitamin A deficiency in Nigeria. So this is just one of the series, and we'll continue doing it and looking for opportunities to raise this awareness and to discuss issues that affect everybody. So I want to thank everybody so much for your time and your participation, and for the organizers, Dr. Hammond and your team, and all the speakers, and everybody. I want to say thank you and have a good afternoon. And thank you all. We wish to end here. And apologies that we didn't get to speak to Dr. Jude, but it's just a matter of time. But we'll make all the presentations available to people for their own further reference. So thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I second Joyce for hosting this and moderating this.
Okay.
And the communication can continue. You can send in an email, or you can send in the chat comment, and we can continue talking. So thank you very much to all the speakers, and also Joyce for the moderating.